So we have everyone here. We have quorum. So good morning. My name is Councilor Chris Moyes. I'm the chair of the Toronto and East York Community Council. Chair. We have quorum. I'm now calling meeting 23 to order. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at City Hall in Committee Room 1. This meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. Although we may be meeting in different locations today, the Toronto and East York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. As a Caribbean Canadian, I am committed to continually acting in solidarity with our African, Caribbean, and Black communities seeking freedom and reproductive justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact our communities across Canada. As part of this commitment, I would also like to acknowledge that not all people came to these lands as migrants and settlers. Specifically, I wish to acknowledge those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of transatlantic slave trade and slavery. In support of the City of Toronto's ongoing effort to confront anti-Black racism, I pay tribute to those ancestors of African, Caribbean, and Black origin and descent. If you are registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting Toronto and East York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at tycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. Seeing none, may I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting on May 1st, 2025? Councillor Sachs, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Before we begin the agenda rundown, may I have a motion to add new business items TE 23.55 to TE 23.59? Moved by Councillor Fletcher. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Items TE 23.1 to TE 23.19 are timed, so we will begin the run-through at item TE 23.20. Okay. Just added. T 23.20, 5 Robinson Street residential demolition application. I'm going to hold that item for Deputy Mayor Malik. She's not here right now. T 23. Let me just hold this. T 23.21, 12 Clooney Drive residential demolition application. Councillor Sachs.
We have a speaker on that item.
Oh, we do.
To hold it.
Do we?
Yes, that we just
I will,
registered.
okay, I will hold that. You just showed me that, didn't you? T 23.22, changes to Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Councillor Perks. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Staff Rex?
Move Staff Rex.
Moving Staff Rex?
Yes,
Okay.
Councillor Perks. Okay. Slow start this morning. T 23.23, use of Nathan Phillips Square for various events, October 1st to 2025 to April 30th, 2026. Can
I'll
you
just,
is
I
that-
won't hold it. I'll just say that the staff have been very good in keeping the noise down to a dull roar because it's a business. We have a Pardon? Oh, I'm just going to say that I'll move that. It's going to council. And if there's any changes that need to be massaged there in order to keep it as business-friendly in the square, I'll do that at council. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 10. Thank you. T 20.24, that's Council Malik's item. I'll hold it for her. Sure. T 20.25, 11 Brock Avenue Construction Staging Area. Council Perks.
Yes, I'll move the staff recommendations. Just want to make sure that it's the revised report. Yeah,
We'll post it.
and just want to note that this is a Toronto Public Builder project, creating supportive housing in Parkdale. It's very exciting work.
Excellent. Just wait for it to be posted.
Oh, no, yeah, it's posted before, so it's already was uploaded.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.26, 1 Bloor Street West, Young Street at Bloor Street West, construction staging area time extension. Councilor Sachs. Item 26.
I want to defer this to the next meeting, please.
Okay, all those in favor of deferral to next meeting? Opposed? Carried. T 20.27, 30 Merton Street, construction staging area. Council Matlow.
I'll move staff recs.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.28, 1134 Queen Street East, construction staging area. Council Fletcher.
Staff have asked me to defer that one round, so I believe clerks have that motion.
Okay, defer to next TYCC meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.30,
On 29, we need to hold, we have speakers.
29.
29, we're holding their speakers. T 23.30, Gary Avenue Mobility and Public Realm Strategy Update. Councilor Bravo.
Chair, I'd like to defer this item.
To the next meeting? Okay. Defer to the next meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Speakers. T 23.31, accessible parking spaces, June 2025. Councilor Perks. Item 31.
Yeah, I'll move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.32, Dundas Street West accessible loading zone. Council Perks.
Move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.33, pay and display parking various streets, June 2025. Councilor Fletcher.
Moving.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.34, and pay and display parking various streets, June 2025. Councilor Fletcher, please speak into your mic so those online could hear you.
God, I'm so close to it. Moving the recommendation, Chair.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.35, I will hold for Councilor Deputy Mayor Malik. T 23.36, I will hold for Deputy Mayor Malik. T 23, there's speakers. T 23.37. I think there's speakers in this item. T 23.38, Front Street East and Jarvis Street Parking Amendment. I'm going to move staff's recs. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.39, Lady Smith Avenue Parking Amendments. Councilor Fletcher. Councilor Fletcher.
Move the recommendation.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.40, Springhurst Avenue and Close Avenue Always Stop Control. Councilor Perks.
Move the recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.41, there's speakers on that item. T 23.42, vehicle width restriction lane south of Bloor Street West, Shaw Street to Ossington Avenue. Councilor Sachs.
Move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.43, Conger Cole Lane between Church Street and Market Street. Speed bumps. Councilor Malik.
Thank you. I'd like to move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item TE 23.44, there are speakers. TE 23.45, Elgin Avenue between Bedford Road and Avenue Road traffic calming, speed hump, and parking amendments. Councilor Sachs.
Moving the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 23.46, Lippincott Street between Harbord Street and Ulster Street traffic calming, speed hump. Councilor Sachs.
I'm moving the alternate recommendation.
So displayed, all those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.47, Montrose Avenue between Bloor Street West and Harvard Street traffic calming.
I'm moving this, Montrose, moving the staff recommendations to install the speed humps.
Okay, all those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.48, Rathnilly Avenue between McPherson Avenue and Poplar Plains Crescent traffic calming speed hump. Councilor Matlow.
I'll move the
Correct me
alternate.
about the pronunciation if you like.
Rathnelly is in the heart of the secessionist Republic of Rathnelly.
Okay.
Long live the Republic. And in that spirit, I'm moving the alternate recommendations.
We'll display it. All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 20.49, the speaker's not item. T 23.50, parking and traffic amendments, Dundas Street West, findings report on pilot initiatives. Councilor Malik.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations, please.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.51, appointments to the Board of Management of the Swansea Town Hall Community Center. Councilor Perks.
I'll move the recommendations.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.52, Lippincott Street between Lennox Street and Bloor Street West, traffic calming. Councilor Sachs.
Moving the staff recommendations.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.53, renaming of the community gardens in Joel Weeks Park. Councilor Fletcher.
I'm very happy to name this after the amazing Carol Sutton, such a friend of Joel Weeks Park, a friend of TCHC, a tremendous woman who believed in inclusion in arts, so very aptly named, she started this garden. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.54, speed humps on Stanhope Avenue between O'Connor Drive and Hopedale Avenue. Councilor Fletcher.
This is an Ontario line speed hump, and yes, we'll put those in. Thank you.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. T
No, it didn't slow any cars
23.55,
down.
224 Holland Street, Lemon Stand. Councilor Bravo. You have a trend going on here, Councilor Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. So we're voting to add it to the agenda, or I can speak to the item and move it.
It's already been added.
It's already been added.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm really pleased to move the recommendations in my letter. This is actually going to make sure that this lemonade stand is operating in compliance, and you can see there's a lot of work done with staff, with my colleagues in my office to get to this place, and I hope that the committee adopts what's here.
All those in favor? Oh, Lord. Okay, you're not kidding, right? Okay, let's have a recorded vote on the lemonade stand. 'Cause we're
On
doing
the
great.
lemonade stand?
On the lemonade stand.
Okay, all those in favor of the item? Councillor Moyes, Deputy Mayor Malik, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Matlow, Councillor Perks, Councillor Sachs, and Councillor Bravo. That's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Thank you, committee, for that ringing endorsement.
Thank you. T 23.56, locations of a Hoverlink terminal adjacent to the Bathurst Queensway neighborhood at Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport. Councilor Malik, Deputy Mayor Malik.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter. We have heard about Hoverlink bringing this very interesting concept to regional transportation using the Great Lakes in our city. And, you know, our shared commitment to an active and green waterfront is very clear and a high priority for me to make sure everyone is able to enjoy the waterfront. It's right next to a community as well, Bathurst Key, and this motion is to ensure that there is a proper review from the city side, taking in all the considerations that, that this proposal might have on the local community.
Go ahead.
I appreciate Councillor Malik's thoughtful approach to this. I just want to go on the record for saying I am so damn excited about it. 30 minutes to Niagara is going to be wonderful for both sides of the lake. And that's my personal opinion.
I have to concur.
The wake that it will create.
We're all excited about it, and this is an opportunity for us as a city to do our due diligence to make sure that we are seeing that this project is compatible with the neighborhood and with our waterfront uses.
Wonderful.
And the shoreline, most important.
All those in favor?
Shoreline, environmental impacts, thank you.
All those in favor? Those carried. That's unanimous. T 23.57, reopening and amending T 18.66, addressing traffic concerns on Austin Terrace.
Reopening first, please.
Pardon?
Reopening first, please.
I'll move to reopen. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. And then,
Councilor Matlow's.
yeah, that's your item, Councilor Matlin.
Yeah, I move it. Yeah.
Okay, you move it. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 23.58, Charlton parking adjustments. Councilor Matlow.
I move this too.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. And T 23.59, reopening and amending item T 22.23, Charles Street West, commercial loading zone. That's me. I'll reopen it. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Item as in
Do your item.
my item. I'm just moving it. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Let's just go back to the,
You have to add some new business. We have 4 new.
actually, let me just go back to Deputy Mayor Malik's items that I had missed initially. Where was I?
20 would be the first one.
Okay, 20. T 23.20, 5 Robinson Street residential demolition application. Deputy Mayor Malik.
I have a motion to defer this item to the next meeting.
Okay, let's defer this to the next meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.21, nope, that
We have a speaker on that one.
is speaker, that's right.
24.
TE 23.24, encroachment appeals, 495 to 517 Wellington Street West, proposed ground sign. Deputy Mayor Malik.
I'd like to defer this item to the next community council.
Okay, defer to the next TYCC. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There's a lot of deferrals today. TE 23.35, Draper Street streetscape improvements and parking bylaw amendment. Deputy Mayor Malik.
I'd like to hold this item, please.
Okay. TE 23.36, Front Street West parking amendment. Deputy Mayor Malik.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That's it, right? Okay. We're going to now add new business items. Councillor Sachs, I understand you have an item here, traffic calming Warden Street between Bloor Street West and Harbor Street.
Yes, please, we need more speed humps.
Okay, so we'll add this item. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Deputy Mayor Malik, strengthening traffic action for Liberative Village. I'd like to move this item to add to the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Also, you have another one here, advancing sidewalk and local infrastructure improvements in Liberative Village in advance of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Deputy Mayor Malik, move this item to add. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. And Council Fletcher, I see you have one item here. Parking amendments on Browning Avenue between Pape Avenue and Carlisle Avenue. You want to move to add this item?
Guess I'll just move that little small piece of East York zoning into overall city zoning. Thank
Okay,
you.
all those in favor of adding this item? Carried. All right, so those items are added. All right, so we're going to go back to top of the agenda. T 23.1, naming of an existing public lane west of Symington Avenue extending northerly from Kingsley Avenue. There are no speakers on this item. Councilor Bravo, you want to move this item?
Thank you, Speaker. Chair, you're the speaker to me in my heart. So I did want to say just a quick word. I'll move the recommendation and to say a quick word about why this matters. This is a project that is dear to our office. The renaming to Schick and Min Johnston, who were leaders in Davenport's Black community. They lived for many years on Perth Avenue. Were known as the Block Parents of Perth. Schick was a World War II Air Force veteran, Toronto's first Black school board trustee, and was actively involved in efforts to confront discrimination in Toronto. When was a teacher, teacher's aide, later a cafeteria manager at Osler Senior School. She was also very involved in the Davenport United Church. I also want to thank Grecia Mujica, who was our Black Youth Leadership Fellow in my office, who started this work with the community in 2023. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Councilor Bravo. All those in favor of this item? Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. T 23.2.
That's for 10 o'clock, so we
Oh, that's for 10 o'clock? Okay, Jesus Murphy. We're a little ahead of schedule here. We have 3 minutes.
Do we want to do maybe I'm just thinking about the Ontario line one? We have a speaker and it's not tonight. It's item 29.
Okay. Where is it? There it is.
29.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move to item 29, which is not a timed item. T 23.29, Ontario Line Construction Update, second quarter 2025. We have one speaker on this item. It's Walid Kogali Ali. Are you here? He's not here. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay. Council Fletcher, you want to move this item?
Hang on, I have a question of staff on this.
Yeah, and I have a motion.
All righty. Councilor Perks, you have questions of staff? Go ahead.
Yeah, so in the report, it talks about rerouting the trucks, but the northbound trucks will be crossing the Dufferin Bridge. And I was just wondering if we have an update on how that bridge is doing. Does anyone know? I don't know. I know that it's been a problem.
Anyone here can answer Councilor Perks' question? No one from transportation is here?
I think it would be engineering.
Okay, we can.
Engineering and construction services, yeah.
Okay, we can hold this item down if, until we get the proper staff here, okay?
I think they're expecting to be here so early.
Well, our meeting starts at 9:30.
I know, but it's a big report, and there's a speaker.
Okay, we'll hold this item down.
Do you know who?
It is 10 o'clock, so we'll go back.
We could deal with the business items that were added if you want to get this over and done. We have four.
Yeah, sure.
Here, I'll give you my, I have it written down here.
Okay, we're gonna go to the new items that were added. T 23.60, traffic calming, Borden Street between Bloor Street West and Harvard Street. That's, any speakers on the item? Seeing none.
I move the staff recommendations.
Okay, Councillor Sachs moves staff's recs. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.61, strengthening traffic action for Liberty Village. Any speakers on the item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Malik. Item 61.
I'd just like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.61, advancing sidewalk and local infrastructure improvements, Liberty Village in advance of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Any speakers on the item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Malik, go ahead.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
Opposed? Carried. And the last item, new item, T 26.63, parking amendments on Browning Avenue between Pape Avenue and Carla Avenue. Councillor Fletcher,
I'll move that.
all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to the top of the agenda. T 23.2, 1251 to 1311 Young Street Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment, Decision Report. We have speakers. Stuart Brannon, are you here? Okay, can you come to the desk, and you have 5 minutes to depute on this item. It should be, right?
Oh, I see a light.
Is it red?
It's red.
Okay, go ahead, 5 minutes.
Okay, so you don't do an introduction as to what this is about? Can I assume that everybody has read the materials?
Yes, we have.
Okay. So I think I want to start by just saying I think we recognize that we are making the decision on this development in a bit of a vacuum. The city's objective is to double the population of the Summerhill Protected Major Transit Station area, population and the jobs, which I think is a laudable and valid objective, but it's also very aggressive, and so it's going to be a controversial step. But there's no plan or vision from the city to manage the controversy that arises from that. The plans that have been developed, the secondary plan for the area has been ignored either by the council in approving other developments or by the province. So I think we have to ask for this one, is this the right project in the right place? And I think the answer to that is no. We absolutely, I believe that this site should be intensified significantly, but the project that's proposed just goes much too far. The fundamental issue is the height of the project. It's grossly incongruous with the neighboring buildings. It's the closest nearby building is approximately half the size. And if this one gets approved, it's just going to turn Yonge Street into a high-rise canyon. And this is a location that's halfway between subway stops. It's not on top of a subway station. So I don't think anybody wants to see the development of Yonge Street into just high-rises surrounded by unchanged low-rise developments. The second reason is, if there are opportunities to do alternative types of construction, they're much more environmentally friendly. The embedded carbon that's required to do high-rise construction is dramatically higher than it is for low-rise and mid-rise. And I know that the developer has taken steps to mitigate the operating carbon consumption and greenhouse gas emissions from the project, but there's not much they can do for the structural elements for a building of this size. And third is a concentration of the new units, of the doubling of the Of the new units that are being approved for the Summerhill area, about 80 to 90% of them are within 200 meters of this site. So across the whole area, largely nothing has happened, and all the intensification is happening in a very small area. And I don't think that's not good for the community. It leads to polarization of the inhabitants, some of them living in houses that haven't changed in decades, and others living in very, very dense, high-rise pockets within that center. So I think for all those reasons, this should be this proposal should be rejected. And the city should develop a realistic plan for how to intensify around the subway stations. The previous secondary plan, as I said, has been ignored, and now we're kind of flying blind, and we should really put in place a new plan to replace the old one. The other final comment I'll make is there is a proposal to install or put a small park. I can't even call it a park. It's so small, I call it a parkette. It's integrated into the building. I think it's just a waste of time. It's likely to become just a dog park for the people who live there, or it'll be a place where the stores and the restaurants on the ground floor put outdoor seating, which is fine, but I don't know why the city should provide that. If you're going to have outdoor seating, that should be part of the developer's proposal. And those are my comments. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Deputy? Seeing none, thank you. Tom Charlton, do you hear? You have 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm not as well prepared as Stuart, but I thought it was important to voice the concerns that I have and many of my neighbors have. When we originally moved to Jacks Avenue, it's a mid-sized building. I think it's 11 stories high. Fits in the neighborhood very well, and the original proposal for that property was basically for a carbon copy of that building by the developer. The biggest concern we have is the amount of people that are going to be there, the amount of cars that'll be there, that the traffic on Yonge Street, if anybody lives around Yonge and St. Clair, it's a disaster that emergency vehicles can't get through, and regardless what, people will say, I live there, and the other day we had a fire truck stuck, and that's, right now Yonge Street can't handle any more cars or any more people. The other thing that's going on is we already have another giant tower being constructed I say 44 Jacks, but it's probably a development area. It's another 45-story building. Again, where are all those people going to go, and where are they going to, how are they going to commute? How are they going to go to restaurants? One of the things that the developer had said was that they were going to have some restaurants and things in there. Right now in Jacks Avenue in our building, the retail area is completely empty. Obviously they can't lease it, and I can't understand why they'd be able to lease more retail area in the new development. The TTC, I use a TTC every day. Luckily, I don't have to do it at rush hour, but at rush hour, when I have done it, I've waited for 2 or 3 trains. The TTC is overwhelmed as it is, so adding more people, more commuter there is going to be a problem. One of the things that I was really surprised at one of the meetings that either the councilors or the developers didn't realize, but the building is being built on the top of Gallows Hill, which is a very important historic landmark from the Mackenzie Rebellion, and there is a plaque there that's built by the city and put there. Right now you can look down Yonge Street and you can imagine what had happened there in that event. Putting the building there blocks it all out. So it encroaches on a very historic area of Toronto. The other, I guess one of my last points is when we purchased at Jacks Avenue, our neighbors purchased at Jacks Avenue, the developer had what everybody realized was progress and a development there that we all accepted. Now they want to change that, and we have two huge towers that will completely change the neighborhood. You know, I object to very, very strongly. I have no objection to the previous proposal. It fit the neighborhood. It was fine. It was great. What we have now is, the new proposal is just crazy. Stuart's remark and the developer saying, well, we're going to put in a parkette. One of the good things about our neighborhood is we have so much park around us that we do not need a parkette there. So just in closing, I don't have any objection to the existing proposal that was approved, but to change that, and I guess I have to be careful how I say this, but we purchased our properties with a proposal that had already been approved. I can't believe the developer didn't years ago, I mean, I've retired now, but been in business, that they knew they're going to try to change this proposal, and I think that's not kosher. So anyway, thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputants? Seeing none, thank you. Up next, Morgan Can, Summerhill Res Association, on the line. Mr. Can, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, you cut out.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Chair Moyes, City Council and City staff. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of the Summerhill Residents Association. So the SRA already submitted a detailed letter laying out important facts not included in the planning or staff reports. I encourage you all to please take the time to read those letters thoroughly, as I can only provide a brief overview of the key points today in the short amount of time available. The letter expands on many of the points that I'll discuss with you here today. First off, I want to make it abundantly clear that the SRA supports responsible growth within the City of Toronto. We even supported the original 2022 proposal for this site, which was 102 large family-sized apartments on a small site under 1 acre in size. It was a bold plan, but it made sense and it fit within the context of the neighborhood. The revised plan, we believe, is wildly out of scale. It's cramming 8 times the number of units into the same amount of space, over 2,200 units per hectare. That's an extreme density, I think you can all agree, far beyond anything appropriate for a site or for this site or neighborhood. The towers are jumping from a mid-rise, I believe 11, 12 stories, to 43 and 47 stories, which is 4 times taller than originally proposed. The buildings are jammed into tight setbacks, shrinking unit sizes by half and creating serious wind and shadow impacts on the public realm and nearby homes. It's not thoughtful intensification, it's overdevelopment on a site that's simply too small. The comparisons the developers are relying on to justify this building are misleading. 1196 Yonge, which was used, that project preserved a heritage building, which earned it its modest height bonus. This proposal is not doing anything to basically earn its height. Worse still is the buildings being put in the wrong place. So the Yonge corridor between Eglinton and downtown is already the most congested development zone in the province. As Tom just stated before me, you know, you can't even get on a subway in this area. It's so busy right now. Line 1 is over capacity daily. Meanwhile, other transit station areas across the city are starved for development, and they would actually make better use of our transit system to erect buildings around those transit stations. The province's new 2024 planning statement says municipal official plans are a key tool for smart growth. Bill 23 didn't raise growth targets or change policies for this area, though. The city's own 2023 land needs assessment also says that we already have enough land to meet and exceed those targets. So this isn't a question of needing more units, it's a question of putting them in the right places. Summerhill Station, it has a minimum target of 200 residents and jobs per hectare. This one proposal alone would push that to 268, which is far above the city's 2051 target of 259. The allowable floor space index for the site is 2.0. This proposal is at nearly 17. So this building, this plan, it breaks planning limits and policies in many ways. And for what? So basically, the SRA is urging City Council to refuse this application or at least defer it until we can properly assess the facts. The current development status of nearby transit areas, we need to assess a real capacity of Line 1, the actual densities across the Yonge corridor, and how other cities are managing these extreme densities of over 2,000 units per hectare. Make no mistake, approving this proposal as it stands would not just impact Summerhill, it would set a dangerous citywide precedent. It sends a message that planning policies, infrastructure constraints, and neighborhood context can all be ignored. That's not intensification, that's planning without a plan. So just again to reiterate, Summerhill isn't opposed to growth. We welcome growth when it's done right. But this proposal doesn't fit the site, it doesn't fit the neighborhood or the planning framework that we rely on to build a livable city. On the contrary, it's setting a dangerous precedent that paves the way to making Toronto very unlivable. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Fletcher has a question for you.
Thank you. I note there's a lot of letters. He's online, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Quite a few letters that are in. And I see one here from More Neighbors Toronto. They do put a lot of letters on to these types of developments and who are strongly supporting it. And I'm wondering if they've ever had any conversations with you and your residents association in any way.
No, we have not that I'm aware of. We submitted a letter, Debbie Briggs was who submitted that letter.
So you haven't,
Yes.
They haven't been in touch with you to talk about density and their very strong support for this project as much needed mixed housing, et cetera. They've not been in.
No, councillor, they've not reached out.
Are you aware of More Neighbors? Have they made themselves available to you in any way?
No, they have not. I've never heard of them, actually.
Oh, you've never heard
today.
of them. You should, okay. There's a letter here. So there's quite a few letters on today for different projects from them. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify if they'd had the courtesy of being in touch with the Residents Association or not. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, councillor.
Thank you. Up next is Kathy McDonald, President of the Deer Park Residence Group. Are you here? No. Kathy, once, twice, three times? Nope. Okay. Next up is Helen Fortinos. Are you here? Helen Fortinos. Going once, twice, three times. David Petrov. Online? David? David, can you hear me? Turn off your video. You lose him? Hello, David. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I submitted an email where I outlined some of my concerns. Certainly, I support those of the other speakers. I would say that to me, one of the most important things is approving of this plan was set a very terrible precedent because there are many people applying to build in this area, and if they can point to something where something that's already inappropriate but been approved would set a precedent, and we'll get worse and worse development in this area. I think also that the idea of solving the Toronto housing problem of affordable living, I expect that nothing in this building is going to be affordable. It just costs too much to build these days. Also, I think that the infrastructure, in terms of the subway, the bike lanes, although people certainly enjoy the bike lanes now, when you get the aggregate of all the proposals in the area and the number of bikes that they're going to have, maybe it be 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, the bike lanes are not going to do anything to be able to deal with that capacity. And certainly if Doug Ford gets his way and races the bike lanes on Yonge Street, you're going to have a lot of bikes with nowhere to go except the streets, the sidewalks, and that's going to be dangerous for bikers. It's going to be dangerous for pedestrians and dangerous for people in cars. I think the other thing that's not been addressed but worries me tremendously is the fact of where the staging area of the construction will be. We've had 25 Rosedale Avenue under construction for 2 years, and a week doesn't go by without the two-lane road being restricted to one lane, whether it be moving dirt through digging, delivery of concrete, delivery of all kinds of other equipment and building materials. So if that happens to be on Jacks Avenue with a small setback of the building, it's going to create havoc for our building because that's where our garage is, that's where all our services get delivered, and if you have all that the staging there, it's going to create a major headache to get onto Yonge Street because it's a short roadway. So those are my concerns: is the precedent, the lack of infrastructure to handle the extra traffic, bikes and subway, and the fact that the staging on Jacks Avenue will be the death knell for this condo in which we live. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the deputy? Seeing none. Thank you for coming in today. I was told Kathy McDonald is online. She's just trying to connect. No? In the meantime, I'll just ask, while we're waiting for this deputant to connect, I'm just going to ask if there's any questions of staff from the committee. I do have questions of staff. I'd rather hear from Kathy. Yes. We may have to proceed without her. Okay, that's good. We'll give her 30 seconds to connect, 30 more seconds to connect. Yes. I know. Okay, well, we're going to proceed without Kathy. We do have a letter from her, which the committee has received. So, Councilor Sachs, you have questions of staff?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, to community planning, just want to confirm that in addition to the usual community meeting, Chris Pereira also went to the Summerhill Residents Association Annual General Meeting for 3 hours to discuss this matter, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Right. And in addition, you wrote a detailed response to the very detailed letter of concerns from the Summerhill Residents Association. And in addition, you came to an extra public meeting that I held on May 27th with 140 people, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Right. And that also included more neighbors who did speak and comment. And we heard all of these same concerns at all of those meetings and in the letter, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
So we've heard significant concerns from the people who already live in this neighborhood. They think this is not the right project in the right place. So why are you recommending it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff's review of the application determined that it meets and exceeds the public realm objectives of the Young St. Clair secondary plan. I'll note that the secondary plan went into effect back in 2006, and since then there's been a number of changes at the provincial level as well as the municipal level in terms of planning policy. The application includes a 366 square meter public park that's fully public, not a POPs. It adds retail to the stretch of Yonge Street that currently does not have retail, which promotes a vibrant Main Street character. It meets the objectives of the tall building design guidelines, and it also complies with those recent changes that I mentioned in terms of promoting greater density around existing transit stations.
Right. Now, we've heard concerns from the neighbors that they, first of all, on the height, that the secondary plan contemplates much lower buildings. We haven't changed the secondary plan, but we keep approving buildings that are much taller. So, so you heard people say that breaks the policy, that breaks our rules. Why are we approving, or why are you recommending that we approve buildings that are much taller than the secondary plan calls for?
There's precedent on the stretch of Yonge in the Yonge St. Clair secondary plan area for taller buildings and higher densities, including some recent OLT approvals for as high as 49 stories and densities as high as 30.1 FSI. So this project is actually 16.8 FSI and 47 and 43 story towers, which are lower in height than some of the recent approvals just to the north.
Right, and when we've turned down taller buildings in this area, the OLT approved them anyway, made them even higher, is that right?
That's correct. I think you're referring to 1366 Yonge at Yonge and Balmoral.
Right. If the secondary plan heights are not being followed, why don't we change the secondary plan? If we're not going to follow them, why have it?
So with each of the applications that's come through, or through the chair, with each application that's come through, there's been an official plan amendment that's been submitted for the developments along Yonge Street. Planning staff, community planning staff are always open to reviewing a broader review of policies. Recently in 2020 and 2019, there was a planning framework that was put through for the properties that were closer to the corners of Yonge and St. Clair in the actual intersection. And it looked at ensuring that there was public realm improvements that went along with the increase in density. And moving forward, planning staff are always open to having that discussion. We need to work with our partners in city planning who would lead a study such as that to determine whether or not a fuller review of the current secondary plan is required and what that process would look like. And that would be through discussions with the local councillors and city planning staff.
Okay, but the height limits in the secondary plan are no longer relevant to what we're doing. Is that fair?
There's new policies from the province that set goals for densities that are minimums, and we are working with the emerging and evolving context of this area.
Okay, so you've also heard from the residents that the infrastructure is not capable of handling all these extra people, the roads, the transit, everything else. Did you, again, did you consider that when you recommended approval?
Through the chair, as part of every application, a transportation impact study was submitted as long as functional servicing study. Staff also reached out to TTC staff regarding the Yonge subway line and ensuring that the infrastructure in the area could accommodate the proposed development. And all responses were that this development is appropriate and can be approved.
And what about the constructability of it? You heard from David Petroff that clearly can't stage on Yonge, and if you stage on Jack, he says it's the death knell for the neighborhood. Can this building be constructed given everything else that's going on?
Planning staff wouldn't be able to comment necessarily on the constructability, but would work with the developer and the local councillor on the construction management plan to ensure that the impacts of construction are being dealt with appropriately and the impacts are mitigated where feasible.
Can it be built here?
Your last question.
Other developments have been built in this area along Yonge Street with similar constraints.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Seeing none. Speakers on the item, Councillor Sachs, I'm assuming?
Yes, thank you. This is certainly a very difficult issue, and I'm aware that there is a strong local opposition. The extra public meeting that we had on the 27th of May, there were 140
Councillor Sachs,
people.
sorry, you have a motion?
Yes, I apologize. I have a motion. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, this is mostly my usual motion. The developer has made a number of green commitments to go above and beyond the legal minimum here. And in addition, if you go to the bottom, the Kathy McDonald, who wasn't able to get on, asked, particularly as a result of the various public meetings, that the residents associations be specifically consulted during the site plan process. And so that's one of the things that the developer agreed to, and that is in my motion, and thank you for the reminder. Again, to those who oppose the development, I've heard you loud and clear over and over again that we understand that you don't want this development, and it is infuriating that we have a secondary plan that sets heights that we don't follow. It's true that from a strictly legal process, these things get amended every time, but it's really confusing and disturbing and infuriating for the neighbors, and it is something we need to fix. But as I said at the public meetings, I mean, we don't have the ability to hold those limits anymore. And what we've seen from the Ontario Land Tribunal, as we saw at Yonge and St. Clair, is that when we turn buildings down, the OLT forces them down our throat and makes them worse. And this has happened over and over and over again, including right at this corner. So I've worked with staff. Staff have worked hard to make the best deal we can with the province choking us, recognizing that Bill 17 is now proposed to make things much worse again, so we won't even be able to get studies of urban design and of wind, which we know is a big concern for Kathy McDonald, and wind tunnels and shadows on the park, and all of those things are being progressively stripped away from us. So in this very difficult circumstance, we've made the best deal that we can, and we don't have the ability anymore to say this should only be 12 stories. We just don't. So, so I've heard you loud and clear. We have done the best we can. We will do the best we can in terms of managing the construction impacts. One of the things that this council did at my request last year was to extend the construction management zone to include this area so that we charge the developers more, that we can pay for staff to work full-time at doing a better job managing construction impacts. And there's an awful lot of construction impacts in this area, including the Rowanwood Water Main project, a number of other condo projects, and then we're going to have the future construction of the recreation center at Ramsden Park. So we've got enormous challenges in this area. We know that. We're doing our very best to manage it. We're doing our very best to provide a livable community. We are being forced into a situation with a very high intensity of development on Yonge Street next to low-rise. And that's partly because there's been really strong support in Toronto for keeping the low-rise areas low-rise. The developers have told me over and over again, they would happily spread out into the neighborhoods and build more cheaply there, but they can't. And so we force them into these narrow areas, and so we're getting a spiky city, low-rise and then spikes, which a lot of people don't like. But the alternative is to give up the low-rise areas that are really prized. So we're making the best we can. We have listened to you. We've listened to you really hard. We've done the best we can. I know it's not the result you want, but this is the best we can do. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, we're going to put up Councillor Sax's motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. As motion as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item is T 23.3. 604 to 610 Bay Street and 130 Elizabeth Street, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. There is one speaker on this item. Rose Colo, are you here? Okay. Rose Colo?
She's right there, and it's just helping.
Okay. At 3. Okay. Okay. 5 minutes, go ahead.
Good day, everybody. You'll have to pardon me, this is my first time before a live audience. I'll have to pretend that you're all in your bathing suits. The proposal that you've got before you, Bay Street Bus Terminal and Elizabeth Street Bus Terminal, has been deep-rooted in the start of Toronto. Toronto being the capital of Ontario. Ottawa is the capital region, but Toronto is the capital of Ontario. There isn't many buildings that are left that we can claim that are historic in nature and in use. It has, unfortunately, through no fault of its own, has seen its demise of being graffitied that's been portrayed of late. But I'm sure that with management and maintenance of the proper authorities, it can be rectified. The history of Toronto, it dates from the horse-drawn carriage coaches of the 1849s. Bus service began by the omnibus lines. We had 9 transit systems operating around the early 1900s. The bus transit history has been a fabric interwoven with the culture and the everyday lives of individuals that have generations gone before us, generations of us today, and the generations of us tomorrow. From the 1850s, when Toronto Railway Employees Union became established, the movement of people, animals, freight, and goods started gearing up night and day. Backdating it to the 1920s, when double-decker buses were put into service, and bus drivers were only paid 15.5 cents an hour. And of course, at the mercy of their employer of the day. Motor coaches were introduced, and TTC and the union all came into place around the 1920s to 25s. From that, it skipped the 47s to the 93s. We had a trolley bus system. In the 60s, we had General Motors that came up with the streetcars like a fishbowl, the old generation. The 50s, we've seen the subway system populate Yonge Street all the way up through to Richmond Hill starting. In the 80s, you had the subway expansion, other lines. In the, also in partnership, the 1960s, Go Transit started taking interest in running regional services out of the hub of the Bay Street and Elizabeth Street bus terminal. The bus terminal as it stands, I understand they want to stick a 16-story apartment building or mixed density on that with ambulance bays. And Elizabeth Street, they want to totally destroy it and put a 43-story shoebox up there with mixed density, no windows, a ventilation of poor quality, but from what I see of the architect's draft proposals, garden roofs that with a city core of having wind tunnels like Chicago, is going to be having porous concrete in bad weather to the units below and projectiles to the people on the streets. We hear that on the news media where people's windows and that are saturated by water coming in from all these glass windows and balconies, doors, as well as the flying debris onto people on the streets. There isn't anywhere that one can go with this high density. Doesn't support transit. It doesn't support the jungle of people, ants.
Ms. Colo, you are at time.
I'm sorry.
But I do realize that you are also speaking on the next item, which is the heritage. So I'm going to pause your time here. Do you have any questions of the deputant on this item? No? Okay. Councilor Sachs, this is your item. I'm not sure we can do that. Can we do that?
Well, we have to vote on them separately.
Okay, that's fine. Fine, all right, so if you want me to do it that way, I can do it that way. So questions of staff. So we saw a number of comments, both from the deputant and in the emails about this project. One of the big concerns, of course, about this project is the sirens. Can you tell us what steps are being taken, or what steps can be taken, if we're recognizing how important it is to have ambulances for people downtown? What will stop this from being an absolute kettle drum of noise for the people who live in this building and around it?
Through the chair, so there is an emergency medical services facility that's proposed within the development on the Bay Street block. And staff from EMS, Toronto Paramedic Services, have expressed that they do take efforts to try to limit the noise from sirens and other impacts related to vehicle movements on the surrounding area. And they do have plans in place for this facility, and they operate this way for other downtown facilities that are surrounded by high-density uses and residential uses in particular.
I know they do their best, but we also know that sirens are a big problem. When recommending this project, what did you do to evaluate the noise impact on neighboring residences?
Through the chair, in terms of the noise from the paramedic services facility, we spoke to Toronto Paramedic Services staff, and we were satisfied that they have a plan in place to mitigate the noise from sirens as much as possible, understanding that there would be a new EMS facility here and that it's adjacent to a number of hospitals. So there will be some impacts from sirens in the area, but we were satisfied from speaking to staff that it would be appropriately mitigated.
I should have started with the more general question, which is why are you recommending this project?
We're recommending approval of this project. This is one of the modern TO sites that was identified by the city as appropriate for additional intensification and an opportunity to meet a number of city building priorities. So this proposal is for two buildings, a 16-story and a 43-story building. There's a number of positive things that would be achieved through the development. So it's all purpose-built rental that will be rent controlled. There's also, at this point, 245 affordable units within the building with a target of 1/3 of the total of units to be achieved as affordable housing. There's the new EMS facility, which is badly needed in the downtown area, in this neighborhood in particular. There's also office and institutional space that's appropriate for the University Health Network, so the hospitals will be able to tie into this building and expand their services within it. As well, there's quite good conservation of the existing bus terminal buildings, so the
Talk about that
entire...
next.
Yes, the entire bus building terminal is being maintained, as well as the bus bays themselves are being reinstated on the EMS facility to provide the entrances to that facility. They're also narrowing a number of the vehicle lanes in the area to widen sidewalks and provide additional planting area. There's a new plaza proposed. So it's really achieving a number of very positive things for the city, and that's why we're recommending approval of it.
All right. Now, you heard the concerns from the deputant about wind tunnel, projectiles, things falling on people. Is there a public safety concern here?
Through the chair, we have studies. We have the pedestrian level wind study that was submitted in support of the application. And we also have noise and air quality studies that were submitted because a portion of the Bay Street block is within the Sick Kids flight path. So we've evaluated all of those studies. Sick Kids has also evaluated the application through their flight path assessment team, and we have determined that there are no concerns related to wind, noise, or air quality issues on the site. The wind study itself in particular for conditions on sidewalks within the amenity areas in the surrounding area also shows that it's at an acceptable level for the anticipated uses, so walking and sitting in the open spaces and along sidewalks. As well as it meeting all of the safety criterion measures. And that will be further assessed and confirmed through the site plan application, where we'll have more detailed studies looking at the amenity spaces and other areas on the site.
I'll ask the rest on the next item.
Okay, thank you. It's an important item, that's why I allowed you to continue. Any other questions of staff? I have one quick question. Is there any retail opportunity spaces there? I mean, it is on Bay Street, you know.
Through the chair, yeah, there's about 1,600 square meters of retail space proposed. So the entire former coach terminal building is proposed as retail. So that would be a two-level retail space. The interiors are proposed to be conserved and reinstated. So it will provide quite a good retail facility there. And then along Elizabeth Street, where a plaza is proposed, there's also additional retail space proposed there.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Seeing no other questions, Councilor Sachs, you want to move there? Sorry. Since we're waiting, I'll ask one other question. It's heritage related, but what the heck. That's fine, do your thing. Is there any preservation in the sense of maybe a museum of some sort just to reflect the history of the space, as the deputant alluded to earlier. I know it's related to, I know. Okay, I was just stalling while you were having a conversation. All right, so Councilor Sachs, go ahead.
Yes, so I'm moving the staff recommendations.
Okay,
I want to speak.
go ahead, Councilor.
I just want to take a
Wait, I
moment.
want to speak on it too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. So this is the culmination of a very long process. As all of you know, we had a real change in direction under the current mayor to move from selling off city land to building on city land, maintaining ownership and looking for maximum public benefit, and in particular, looking to maximize affordable housing, which I know Councillor Fletcher has been fighting for these many years. And so that is what we have here. This is a really exciting project. We have we've heard concerns about whether we have adequate infrastructure for the tens of thousands of additional people that we're packing into my ward. Well, one of the things we're lacking, among many others, is adequate paramedic service. So given that, everybody knows the congestion's really bad, the traffic's really bad, we need to be able to get ambulance services and paramedics to this enormously growing population quickly. And for that, we need an EMS center. And so in a sense, it is a match made in heaven. We're going to talk about heritage in a few minutes, but this is a really valuable historic building in Toronto with beautiful shape that works really well as a paramedic center, where they've got to send ambulances in and out. So we've got an opportunity to preserve an important part of heritage and turn it into an urgently needed piece of infrastructure and support the medical center with a new facility that's going to support transplants and research for the University Hospital Network. And that's, again, an important city building objective, is to build up our medical research and support in this section of the city where Hospital Row is so important, and to provide some retail on Bay, and to improve the public realm, and to provide a very significant amount of affordable housing, which is incredibly difficult, and even more difficult now, but only possible by leveraging public land instead of selling it to make money. So the combination of those different public objectives on this site is an extraordinary achievement. Really, really hard to do, making a number of things happen that individually would have been impossible, and is only possible by pulling them all together on an incredibly important piece of public land. So it will absolutely create problems, no question about it. Having a high concentration of ambulances, well, there already is a very high concentration of ambulances because they're coming to the hospitals. But you add dispatching ambulances as well with sirens going, it is a challenge. But it's a challenge that we need to accept because we're packing all these people in, and some of us need to go to the hospital in an ambulance, and that means the ambulance has to be there. Working with EMS to try to minimize the siren noise. There's only so much they can do, but we are doing our best. But this is a really important achievement. It's a very proud piece of city building. It's taken the work of many, many different departments. All those things you hear about silos, different parts of the city not talking to each other, not working together. This is a really good example, an extraordinary example of what we can achieve when we do pull together all these different departments: housing and infrastructure and heritage and emergency supplies and public realm and planning. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm asking for your support.
Thank you. Councillor Perks.
Well, you'll be getting my support, Councillor Sachs. This is, I just want to underline something. I emphasize one point here, which is we haven't built social housing, affordable housing at scale on public lands in close to 50 years. This is literally transformative of the way the housing system in the City of Toronto works, projects like this. And Councillor Sachs hit it on the head. That's only possible because of the incredible work of the Toronto Public Service, people from all parts of it pulling together and saying, let's do this urgent work to house people in our city who currently can't afford to live in Toronto, and all the other stuff too. I have my priorities. So congratulations to you, Councillor Sachs. Congratulations to the Toronto Public Service. I'm going to be supporting this.
Thank you. I'll speak to this as well. So because this borders my ward, I had a lot of briefings on this throughout the years as well, and I was seeing the progression over time. So I'm really happy to see it before us today. I just want to note that I look at this in a different perspective as well, you know, coming from the healthcare side. You know, when I was at the local hospital, a lot of the patients that I saw actually came through the bus terminal because they had no other means to actually get to the core for their treatments or whatever. And coming from Thunder Bay or Windsor, you name it, they took the bus to the coach terminal and walked over to St. Mike's Hospital. So it's nice to see that now that being around the University Health Network and University Row, Hospital Row, I should say, that there's still services there that will be provided. And again, being in the downtown core, we have a lot of paramedics down here. Talking to the paramedic chief, you know, a lot of paramedic come down to the core because of the hospitals that are here, and you know they are scattered around. So it's nice to see that they actually have a space, a bay that you know they could use and continue to provide services to the people of Toronto, which is desperately needed. So I commend staff and all those involved in this really important project, and hopefully we'll be cutting some ribbons sometime soon. With that, I'm going to ask for a recorded vote on the item.
All those in favor of the item? Councillor Moyes, Deputy Mayor Malik, Councillor Fletcher, Councillor Bravo, Councillor Sachs, Councillor Perks, and Councillor Matlow. That's unanimous.
Wonderful, great work. All righty, the next item, which is related, is T 23.4, 604 Bay Street, including entrance address 610 Bay Street, alterations to and demolition of heritage attributes of a designated property under Section 33 and 34 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and authority to enter into a heritage easement agreement. We do have one speaker on the item, Rose Colo. Do you want to speak to the heritage aspect of this? Go ahead, 5 minutes.
I'm still here, folks. Listening to your proposals and that, I'm saddened by the passing of the 43-story Elizabeth Street. I'm hoping that in going forward, that you will be working with the developers to cut the storage, the high-rise storage for the Elizabeth Street terminal in half. As to the Bay Street terminal of the historic site, it had been designated in the late 80s as a heritage designation. I would like to see that Elizabeth Street have the same designation. It has been in existence for over 55 years and counting. It does merit recognition as an accessory to the Bay Street terminal. In fact, I met my husband through the bus terminal in 1978. I was just getting my first job after my mom had passed, and one of the fellows that were working in the terminal had noticed me commuting back and forth to Burlington on the GO Transit services, and through the security guard, became aware of my bereavement. Had the security guard give me a bouquet of flowers and said that it was from the team. I found out about a week later that it was coming from him. It was a great big huge bouquet. 6 years later, proposed to me. It's been, unfortunately, we had a disagreement of marriage by City Hall or marriage in a church. So 46 years later, we're still common law, unfortunately. Right now, he's in critical condition at a local hospital. I came on board with Toronto Transit Commission, Grey Coach Lines, and joined the team as an employee. I have a love both as an employee and as a person of traveling. People's journeys are based on everything that comes in and out. People have lost wallets, they found love. You can see pictures that's being etched on the Bay Street bus terminal right now. I walked past there on the 13th of May, and some architect was gracious to captured the history that's in there. I like to see a museum put into place, ingrained, because there isn't anything. I went online and I looked at the museums that there are. There's about 7 or 8 museums in Toronto. Covering different aspects. The closest that you come to is the Toronto Railway Museum down by the CN Tower. As far as transit history is concerned in North America and Canada or Toronto, you have Kingsville, Ontario, which was by Leamington, that deals with transit. Other than that, you have Langley, British Columbia, that carries the transit. You have Oshawa that carries automobiles. But there's nothing that deals with transit that is in Ontario. And I'd like to see at least 5 stories dedicated to it so that there is interactive displays, a setup where there's gatherings where you can rent out the space with the themed items of the particular period. I'd like to see the generations from the 1800s for the history of each of a decade of 10 years being featured in not a shoebox of just a couple of pictures, but a pure, genuine collection of memorabilia, of vehicles, of mechanics, the people that did something there, the people that came through the doors, their life's histories. I'd like to see that happen. I have with me something that came from the Toronto Transit Commission. It's a history of 100 years of transportation. It goes right back from the day when the 1800s, when things were incorporated to today.
Okay, so you are time.
I'd like one last thing, please, sir.
Okay, one last sentence.
Please. I'd like to see that Elizabeth Street structure being maintained, as well as if you're going to build anything over it, make sure that it's not more than 25 stories for people's lives, please.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you very much for your deputation. I love the idea of a transit museum, and it's something that if and when we find money in space, it would be a great thing to do. Maybe at Old City Hall, we could think about that. I will look for opportunities to continue to recognize the history of Grey Coach. Thank you for your service with Grey Coach. We're all sorry that it collapsed. And I'm sorry to hear your husband's ill. Please give him our best wishes for a swift recovery.
He's also still with Grey Coach and TTC.
Thank you.
Councillor Matlow.
If I can also sort of merge a small comment with a question ostensibly.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I wanted to thank you so much for your very personal and thoughtful deputation. You said it's the first time you've spoken to an audience. You see my voice today. But I was just so impressed and touched by what you said. And I love the idea of a museum of transit history and contemporary life in transit. And whether it be this site or another site, that's something that we should be exploring, and you are incredibly inspiring. Thank you.
Hire me. I'm looking for a job.
Thank you for your deputation today. We'll take it in-house. Councillor Sachs, go ahead.
Yes, questions of staff. So Ms. Kolo raised a really good point about the history of transit and of the Grey Coach and how important it was in people's lives, both in Toronto and elsewhere. What opportunities are there to include some commemoration of that history in the new development?
Through the chair, as part of staff's recommendations, there is a condition included to provide an interpretation plan, and that would serve to communicate on the site in locations that are accessible, information about the history and the importance of this site, as well as its contribution to transportation history in the city to the public. So that is something that staff would be reviewing as the project progresses.
Right. Can we provide the public, which would of course include Ms. Kolo, an opportunity to comment on the interpretation plan before it's finalized?
We don't normally, that's usually something that's delegated to staff. We will take that back and get back to you about that.
All right, I'd appreciate that. I realize it's unusual, but this is a building that's very close to many people's hearts, and let's figure out what we can do without, of course, endangering the other important uses of the site. Secondly, just to heritage staff, are you satisfied with what we've done to preserve this building? I would encourage all members to look at page 29 of the staff report. There's a lovely rendering of just how beautifully we are preserving at least the frontage of the building. But can you comment on, have we done the best we can, again, juggling all the other things we always juggle, to preserve the real importance of this site to people's lives and its beauty as an Art Deco building?
Through the chair, yes, city staff are satisfied that the application would conserve the exterior, but also the interior heritage attributes that are identified in the designations bylaw for the coach terminal building. Staff are also pleased to see that the new construction is concentrated off of the historic terminal building, and there is a sensitive reconstruction proposed for those original bus bays so that they can be adaptively reused for the paramedic use.
Right, and I know it's unusual for us to do conservation of the interior. How unusual is that for this kind of building?
Given that it was a public building, staff did identify interior heritage attributes that would be conserved within the building.
Right, but my point is, that's a fairly unusual thing for the city to do, right?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much for all your work on this.
Thank you. Any other questions, staff? Signa. I apologize if I'm going to repeat myself again, but the museum piece, was there an opportunity for that? I think Councilor Sachs may have asked that question. I just missed it.
Through the chair, currently the terminal building is proposed to be used for retail. However, staff is requiring an interpretation plan to be submitted that could include communicating how the site's history to the transportation history of the city would be commemorated on site.
Okay, great. Thank you. All those in favor of this item? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Didn't even ask me to move the staff recs. I moved the staff recs.
Thank you, thank you. It was implied. T20.5, 5, 5A, 5B, and 9 Leslie Street, city-initiated official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. No speakers on this item. Council, anyone who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, Councilor Fletcher.
Yes, move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
So Mr. DiGeronimo can leave.
T23.6, city-initiated zoning bylaw amendment, reallocation, section 37 funds within Ward 13. Are there any speakers on this item? Seeing none. That's you. No, that's me. Sorry, 6. I'm going to move staff's recs. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T23.7, 2 Tecumseh Street and 125, 133 Niagara Street, part lot control exemption application. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Malik.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.8, 119 to 125, 160 and 200 Benny Stark Street, and 116 to 122 Turnberry Avenue, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councilor Bravo.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the staff recommendations and just to indicate to members of the committee that this is a direction to staff to oppose a current proposal and to continue working with the applicant. The lands haven't been formally converted, but staff will be using the Kiel St. Clair secondary plan as the basis to evaluate applications.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.9, 1799 St. Clair Avenue West, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment, and draft plan of subdivision application. Any deputants in the room? Seeing none. Councilor Bravo.
I'll move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.10, 1601 to 1603 Bathurst Street, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. Appeals report. Any deputants in the room? Seeing none. Councilor Matlow.
I'll move staff recs.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.11, 120 Bouchette Street, application for the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. Appeal report. Any speakers in the room? Seeing none. Councilor Fletcher.
I'll just move the staff recommendations. Thank
All
you.
those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.12, St. Clair Avenue West and Bathurst Street Planning Framework and Forest Hill Village Urban Design Guidelines Review Information Report. Any speakers in the room? Seeing none. Councilor Matlow.
I move to receive the report and express on behalf of the residents of Forest Hill Village our gratitude.
Wonderful. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.13, 25 Dalhousie Street and 30 Mutual Street Amendment to Section 37 Agreement to permit a seasonal outdoor patio. Any speakers in the room? Seeing none. I'm going to move staff's rec. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 23.14, 132, 136, 138, 142, 144, and 148 Dundas Street West, and 24 Jefferson Avenue, inclusion on Heritage Registry. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councilor Malik, Deputy Mayor Malik.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 25.15, 15 Glen Morris Street, alterations to the demolition of heritage attributes of a designated property under Section 33 and 34 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and authority to enter into heritage easement agreement. Councilor Sachs is not in the room. Don't see her. I'm gonna hold it down for her. T 23.16, there are speakers on this item. 365 Spadina Avenue, application for fence exemption. Yeah, just this speakers on this item. 16. Yeah, Richard Lee, are you here? Online?
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
You have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Speak with Gary Cheng, who is actually going to speak first. So if you can allow him to speak first, that would be great.
Sorry, can you speak up, please? I can't hear you.
Okay. We have another speaker, Gary Cheng, who will begin and do the preamble.
Just to be clear, there's Richard Lee, Ronaldo Wall, and Gary Chung. Are you all together?
Yes.
And are you using your 5 minutes separately or together?
Probably together.
Okay, so you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, so Gary can go first.
Okay, 5 minutes, go ahead. Identify who you are before you start speaking.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant we're speaking to, we're not located together. Gary is on the line.
Okay, go ahead. Who are you?
I'm Richard Lee.
So you want Gary to go first?
Yes.
Okay, Gary, go ahead, 5 minutes.
Good morning, Council and the city staff. My name is Gary on behalf of YSM, whom Richard and Ronaldo Wall are representing. Our application here is really just for a non-conventional fence that is to be built on the 5th floor on the rooftop to protect access and prevent access and from the adjacent properties. There is a shared roof with a parapet in between separating the buildings. Richard and Ronaldo can speak a little bit further, but the concern that we have is that there is access from the adjacent properties coming onto the rooftop at 365, which is hence we're building this fence. The exemption that we're looking for, of course, is in the location in which it's being located on the 5th floor, on top of the parapet, and the height of it, it's extending close up to 9 feet from the roof level. The reason being is because we want to prevent access, as I mentioned before, and a traditional 6-foot fence that is allowed by the fencing bylaw is not going to prevent people from accessing. So we do have a presentation sent in. We do have photos that we can share for council and staff members to take a look at as we speak to these items. If we can have that pulled up, please.
I can't put it up, but we have access to it, so just continue.
Oh, okay, no problem. In that case, then I will speak to the technical of the fence as we are the applicant on this one. So it's just going to be a traditional wood fence. We will be adhering to the materials that the fencing bylaw is allowed for. So no metal, no barbed wire, nothing sharp. Again, it's just for privacy and protection reasons. I will allude to Ronaldo and Richard for them to speak a little bit further into the history and the reasons why we're trying to protect it. Richard, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you for your consideration. The purpose of the excuse me. The purpose of this fence is to reduce and hopefully eliminate the issues of vandalism, graffiti tagging, and safety concerns of unauthorized people being up on the roof and crossing over to the adjacent buildings. This has been an issue for many years. Now, starting back even from when we purchased the building back in 2016. We have images of people on our roof, but aren't included in the presentation deck due to privacy concerns. But we have recently incurred and previous remediation costs related to graffiti tagging and also damage to our HVAC equipment. We're anticipating that the fence approval will help us in these matters. Thank you. Ronaldo?
I have a question for the applicant.
Go ahead, Ronaldo.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, just to clarify, so the site in question is a multi-service youth agency. So we serve the needs of vulnerable youth in the community. Obviously, due to the graffiti and vandalism on the roof of the center, it's actually impacted our relationship with the community and our neighbors, as we've had numerous complaints regarding offensive messaging that's on our building. It eventually reached the point where law enforcement have had to visit our facilities to inquire on the matter as well. So our hope is that by addressing this issue with the erection of a fence, that will help to improve our ongoing relationship and partnership with our neighbors and community members, so we can continue to offer kind of the supports and services that we do to serve the needs of the youth. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sachs has a question for the deputants. Go ahead, Councillor Sachs.
Yes, thank you. I've been informed by community planning that you have to apply for a zoning amendment. Has anybody advised you of this?
No, no one has advised us on the zoning amendment. Simply told us to apply for a fencing exemption permit.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you've been misdirected. After this, I suggest you get in touch with my staff and we'll give you some appropriate direction. I understand it's very difficult to have all the incursions and the vandalism that you've described, but there is a proper process here. Thank you.
Okay. Councillors, that was the last speaker or deputant. Councilor Sachs, how do you want to deal with this?
Community Planning's already left. I'll just speak to this. So I'm advised by Community Planning that a zoning amendment is required before the fence can be considered, and that hasn't been done. So I'm going to move the staff recommendation, and we'll give, if the applicants contact us, we'll give them some information about how to apply for their zoning change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, moving staff's recs. Opposed, carried. Next item is T 23.17, 127 Kilberry Road, application for fence exemption. Any speakers on this item? No. Councilor Matlow?
Deferring it for a cycle.
Deferring one cycle. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 23.18, 255 Seaton Street, application for fence exemption. We have a speaker on this item. 18. Elizabeth Bodkin, are you here? Online? Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Oh, hello?
Yes, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. So I'm seeking an exemption for our electric retracting door that abuts the rear alleyway on Hagan Lane. This alleyway has, well-documented public health and safety issues, including drug dealing, drug using, defecation, public intoxication, abusive and violent behavior, and break-ins, and that's just to name a few. In fact, before we installed our electric retracting door, we had someone break into We haven't had any issues since the door has been installed. We have a young toddler at home, and her safety is obviously paramount to us. This fence height helps to prevent and deter unwanted entry to our private property. It's not obtrusive. It fits aesthetically with the rest of the alleyway, and it does not obstruct any sight lines. According to the bylaw officer that issued the violation, the retracting door would be in compliance if it was part of a garage or had some sort of roof enclosure. But because there is no roof, the city's interpretation is that this door is considered a fence, and therefore it must comply with the height restrictions of the fence bylaw. To me, the bylaw itself doesn't really make any sense in this context. The standard size for a garage door is 7 to 8 feet, plus the additional headspace to allow for the roll-up. By limiting the retracting rolling door to fence height, almost every small lot that backs onto an alleyway with a retractable door and an uncovered parking space would be considered against the bylaw, and I don't really think that this is the intent here. Our retractable door serves the same purpose as the retractable door on a garage. It's for safe and convenient access to park a vehicle. And when we had notified the company that did the installation, which is Kimball Doors, the well-known installer in the city, about the violation, the company had said that they, we're one of the only people in all of Toronto that they're aware of that has run into this issue. There's, hundreds of homes across the city that have these retracting doors, most of which are the same height as ours or higher, and they've had no issue. Also, you will have seen from the photos that were submitted that our retractable door is the same size or smaller than some of the others that are abutting the alleyway as well, so it's not out of place. We received 3 letters of support. We don't have any letters of objection, so I urge you to please grant this fence exemption.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I do have an amendment on this item. You want to post it? All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 23.19, 257 Seaton Street, application for fence exemption. We have a speaker on this item. Where am I? 19. Costas Pithoterosis, you're online. Costas, are you there?
I think I am.
Okay, go ahead, 5 minutes.
Okay. I think Elizabeth covered for the most part. I'll probably, well, let me put it all in context. Well, a bit of as Barb would say and David Remmel would say, I'm coming of a rare beast. I was born and raised in Cabbagetown, in Donvale, which now is probably referred to as Cabbagetown North. And I find it kind of amazing that we have kind of lost our way in terms of kind of coming to some consensus and working things out on our own. Having said that, because I know they've gone through a long struggle in terms of getting their home up and running. And my dad bought this property in 1970. He actually had 70 work orders, condemned by the city, actually. So, and I've always interpreted, and I renovated it, and specifically for them, as in their twilight years. And I brought them both at different stages at the end stage of dementia. And if anybody knows anything about organic illnesses, that stimuli or keeping a stable environment has. Can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you. Continue.
Yeah. So the decision I made was based on a lot of the delays that Elizabeth was encountering, needless, frivolous delays, as a point of fact. And I knew my parents were getting all worked up, anxious, agitated. So I caught some people trying to break into the property. I made a decision. I was under the understanding that the fence requirement was 9 feet. So that was always in the back of my mind. But I was really caring for my parents as what I guess there's a big push for people to be caregivers and kind of stray away from long-term care. So having said that, my decision was based on their welfare in their twilight years and being a vulnerable population. That's all I can say for now. And, the other thing is, I've gone through all of North Toronto because I used to live there, and I see the exact same thing up there. So I'm wondering, is the law being applied unilaterally and equally, right, to all neighborhoods? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry for sounding a little long-winded, but it's a bit of a hectic time for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
I do have an amendment in this item. I'll post it. Same as the last item. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Let's go back to item T 20.15. 15 Glen Morris Street, alterations to a demolition of heritage attributes of a designated property under section 33 and 34 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and authority to enter into heritage easement agreement. Councillor Sachs.
I'm moving the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay.
And Mr. Chair, as you know, I've got to go be the MC for World Environment Day.
Yes,
I have to leave at 12, so if we could do my items by then, I would be grateful. I also have to leave.
Yes, I know 2 of our members have to leave, so we're trying to get through this very quickly. Hopefully we'll be done before then. Hopefully. T 23.21, 12 Clooney Drive, residential demolition application. We have one speaker on this item, 21. Sean McGuffey.
Thank you.
Go ahead, 5 minutes, go ahead.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of Community Council. Really just here on behalf of the owners to say we're in support of recommendation number 3 and happy to answer any questions about the proposal. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm moving recommendation number 3.
You want to post? Okay, we're just going to post it. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is the Ontario line item, T 23.29. Wally Kogali, are you here? 5 minutes or less, emphasizing on the last part. Hello? You're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Walid Kogali Ali. I'm just gonna ask members of the committee to look at the deputation that was submitted in writing as well, just for some context. But I'm gonna start off by saying that I'm speaking on behalf of the Building Ontario Line Differently, a network of residents, associations, and grassroots organizations advocating for an equitable, transparent, and community-led approach to transit development in Toronto. And we're here to express deep concern with the Ontario Line Q2 2025 construction update and to highlight several systemic issues that continue to erode public trust and compromise equitable outcomes. This deputation builds upon our formal submission to the Executive Committee on May 13th and reflects the ongoing engagement of affected residents across both Toronto and North York. First, I want to address the continued failure by Metrolinx to adopt co-developed terms of reference for community liaison and committees. These committees are meant to serve as a bridge between the agency and the public, but without agreed upon rules, they have become largely symbolic. Community voices remain sidelined while unilateral decisions proceed unchecked. We call on Council to advocate that Metrolinx adopt this co-developed terms of reference before future consultation processes move forward. Second, the issue of local hiring and community benefits remain murky, while the report cites a 10% equity hiring target. No project level or postal code data has been made available to verify whether communities like Moss Park, Corktown, and Riverside are actually benefiting. Community stakeholders are also excluded from the working groups where these benefits are discussed. This undermines the credibility of the process and reinforces historic patterns of exclusion. We urge the city to demand disaggregated data, ensure regular public reporting, and include community voices at the table, specifically in the Metrolinx Stakeholder Working Group and City Metrolinx subcommittees. Third, accountability for construction impacts is alarmingly inconsistent. For example, heavy trucks were recently observed violating route restrictions along King Street East with no notice, signage, or enforcement. Monitoring equipment exists for noise and vibration, yet this data is not being shared with the public. We recommend establishing a joint public issues tracker to log complaints and publish monitoring data so residents aren't left to police the project themselves. Fourth, residents, especially seniors, newcomers, and low-income tenants, are not aware of their rights during construction. We propose a co-developed multilingual Know Your Rights campaign to be delivered in partnership with local organizations and made accessible across formats and languages. Fifth, Infrastructure Ontario's recent decision to postpone public engagement for the Corktown TOC until fall 2025, despite promising June consultations, only deepens the trust deficit. This is the latest in a pattern of delays and dismissals of community input. We ask that Council formally request an update from IO on its revised engagement strategy. Finally, the report presented today is only directed to the Toronto and East York Community Council, despite significant Ontario Line infrastructure, such as the Flemington and Thorncliffe stations, the OMSF, the Guideway, the two Don Valley bridges being located in North York. A motion passed by City Council in 2024 called for updates on the sections, and one was submitted last year. But today's report fails to provide any coordinated update on these major components. We strongly recommend that City staff bring forward Ontario Line updates to both TAEYCC and the North York Community Council at the same time, with geographically tailored reports to avoid confusion and ensure transparent oversight. In closing, Chair and Councillors, we believe that with your leadership, the Ontario Line can deliver meaningful outcomes, but only if rooted in genuine community engagement, accountability, and equity. We urge you to adopt the recommendations outlined in our written submission, and we remain committed to working with you to ensure the Ontario Line reflects the values of a just and inclusive Toronto. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the Deputant? Seeing none, thank you. In-house, I know that there are a few questions on the side.
I have questions.
Go ahead, Councilor Bravo.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My questions of staff involve the scale of this work. Would you agree that this is a major capital project that intersects with other important projects? In particular, I'm thinking about Science for Dufferin and Dufferin Teal, Rapid Teal and Dufferin.
Chair, yes, Councillor, you are quite correct. This project does intersect significant other City of Toronto projects, and we continue to work with Transportation Services as our kind of primary interface, as well as the SCCO office to kind of determine the best way to coordinate these projects.
Okay, so you agree that that would be the right kind of primary internal responsibility for coordination among city divisions and interfacing city capital projects would be the Strategic Capital Coordination Office?
Chair, through the chair, yes, you are correct. The SCCO is the overarching, I would say, group that looks after the broader coordination, and we are working very closely with them as well as our colleagues in TS to make sure that the coordination is done.
Thank you very much. I'll be moving a motion to that effect.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? Councillor Fletcher?
Thank you. Thank you for your report. And the format's very interesting because it's just the dashboard. So I do note that I'm wondering in the cleanliness of the construction areas, is Metrolinx told you that they're clean, or do we have somebody that checks?
Through the chair, yes. So a couple of things. One, both Metrolinx is providing this information, but we also randomly go and actually do checks on these sites to see whether or not they've. So we don't, answer your question, Councillor, we don't do it every day.
Who does that from our staff? Who checks the sites?
It would be a combination of my staff going out on a regular basis, as well as Transportation Services, as it relates to the roadways. So that's the groups that would be looking after that.
So if one of the sites has been quite filthy for at least a week or more, how do we square that? I think Metrolinx is telling you that it's in pretty good shape when it's not at Pape and Danforth.
Through the chair, Councillor, you could be absolutely right. There are these sites that are going on. We may not be able to see all of them, and if there are these issues, happy to kind of take this on and go out and actually do the inspections.
I don't want to move a motion, but I want to make sure that somebody's looking at that.
We are.
Because, well, I don't think anybody has looked at that. I'm sorry to contradict you.
Maybe not that particular site, and I'm not sure which one it is.
That's on the street site. So I guess that we need to follow that up a bit more carefully, look at what your schedule is, who's going where, Transportation Services, how often are they going, and I'll speak to that. But my question's been answered, but I still think that we have a problem. For the trees in the Don Valley, when was that permit given? 2023, at the end of 2023?
That's correct.
And that was all on city land, was it not? That wasn't a right-of-way, correct?
That's correct.
And what's the compensation that we received for that?
At this point, when it's city land, it's three trees for every one tree.
And the actual financial compensation?
Just a moment.
How many trees were there altogether in the Don Valley?
So there was, if you're talking in the area of Minton Place, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
There's 288 trees, and the actual amount was in the range of about 250,000, I believe. Sorry, I'm going to have to go back into my.
That's okay. And how many trees are there altogether, both sides of the valley?
On both sides of the valley, over 1,000, so about 1,032 trees.
And all of that city land, correct?
I believe it's a combination. I'm not sure on the north side, Councillor, as to whether or not it's totally city or it includes TRCA in there as well.
And was that totally, was that done through your office, the negotiations, or was it done totally by Parks?
Through Parks, through Urban Forestry.
Through Parks, through Urban Forestry.
Urban Forestry.
So there was no thinking about extra work or extra finances in negotiating that could have assisted in the whole Don Valley Park. That's simply the replacement trees that were negotiated here, correct?
I believe you're correct. It's a replacement tree. I'm not sure of the full negotiation with regards to the what could have been done more.
So nobody said, well, we're disturbing the valley, and that wasn't a direction. You didn't give any direction at that time, or did they report through you, or were they operating on their own?
No, so through the chair, Urban Forestry works with us. They communicate to us the issues that are faced. They identify down the fact that the trees need to be replaced.
Yes.
And they also raise the fact that it is disturbing the environment, and that's part of that discussion that they have with Metrolinx on what the replacement is.
Who authorizes them to accept that 288? That would be you, or they do that? I'm trying to figure out now how this operates. Do they all go through you? Are you the portal, or are staff still operating on their own without that direction? I understood that TEO is the final portal and giving over strategic advice to all departments. Am I wrong?
So through the chair, we are ultimately the decision on accepting the compensation and the number of trees sits with the division that's actually issuing the permit, but we are obviously directly involved with that.
But not
we don't have the authority to, if you're asking, I don't have the authority to tell Urban Forestry not to do it.
Who does?
Urban Forestry.
No, who in the city can tell them that? Urban Forestry, the deputy city manager, the city manager, who is it?
His last question.
Through the chair, it would be, I would suspect, the general manager of environmental services who would ultimately make that decision, and if they can't, it would be through the DCM.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions of staff, going to speakers. Councilor Bravo, go ahead. Okay. Councilor Bravo?
Yes, thank you. It's to speak. So I have a motion, and while it's displayed, I'll explain, as I mentioned in questions, that it asks all the appropriate people to ensure Strategic Coordination Office assumes primary internal responsibility for coordinating among city divisions and ensuring that managing this work works for everyone. In particular, we are seized of the avoiding onward northbound heavy traffic to Dufferin Street beyond Queen West, ensuring future changes are coordinated with planned implementation of transit priority measures on Dufferin and measures in the congestion management plan, and an expanded map to show the full onward direction of travel for the haul route. These are all very dense neighborhoods. Dufferin is one of the narrowest main streets in the city, if not the narrowest. We have big plans and big needs for transit improvement, for reliability on Dufferin. And so for that reason, I am moving this motion so that we can consider all the appropriate elements together at once.
Thank you. Deputy Malik, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Transit Expansion staff for this report. It tracks to our subcommittee recommendations, yes, and shows transparency. I have two motions today. I want to start with thanks, and they're on the screen right now. The first one is looking to Metrolinx to install a sound shelter. They have described the varying degrees of feasibility. However, the noise and dust continues to be a significant problem in this area, and also leaves this site as the only one in the downtown without a shelter of this kind. And it's soon, and we want to make sure that Metrolinx is pushing forward to reconsider and right the situation here. My second motion is regarding community benefits, and as this report outlines, it continues to be quite frustrating that Metrolinx isn't providing information or data to the city on the community benefits program, which is part of how we make these incredible investments benefit everyone in our city, building good transit and creating job opportunities for people who need them. Additionally, the working group Metrolinx agreed to strike has been quite slow to get up to speed, and I hope this will be part of the work in terms of the accountability and encouragement to keep this work at pace. I also want to acknowledge that our communities have been living through construction for 2 years now, and we know that tunneling is about to begin in earnest, and we need to get real about what that will mean for our streets, and as has been described, as those haul routes become more frequent. And I want to say to our communities and to our local businesses that us on this community council and as a city, we are looking to continue to work with you to make sure that the change and disruption, the construction impacts are well managed by Metrolinx, and that we will continue to look for that accountability and that sense of responsibility in making this work for everyone as well as possible, to ensure that we are able to get around our communities safely, to have access to our roads and sidewalks, even given the impacts on our neighborhoods. And we've shown to this point that there are examples of how we can work together to get better solutions, and we'll continue to do that work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Perks?
Yes, thank you. I have a motion too. It's very wordy, but essentially what it does is direct city staff to talk to Metrolinx and stay on top of whether or not the Dufferin Bridge will be able to support all of the trucks necessary to do the new plan that is in front of us.
That's a fair question.
You know, looking at this report, I just had this image in my mind of a bull in a china shop. And in this metaphor, the bull is Metrolinx and the city of Toronto is the china shop. This bridge, so 18 years ago, a young, very optimistic version of me was first elected to public office. And one of the very first things that I was briefed on was that the Dufferin Bridge needed to be taken down because it was no longer safe. And we had a design that was ready to go, and we were all ready to go, but Metrolinx came along and said, we're not quite sure how tall that bridge needs to be because we haven't finished our plans for electrifying Lakeshore West. So instead of building a permanent bridge, because we didn't know how tall the bridge had to be, we put in a temporary bridge that was supposed to last 10 years. That was 17 years ago. Since then, I have lost count of the number of times that the Toronto Public Service and myself have written letters or phoned Metrolinx saying, hey, have you figured out how tall the bridge we have to build is supposed to be? And the answer continues to be, we'll tell you someday. We are still in that holding pattern. And because we're in that holding pattern, we regularly have to do temporary repairs to the temporary bridge. We have had pieces of it fall off. There are portions of it you can walk along and see daylight below you. You can look down at the traffic in the Gardner because it's full of holes, and we just bolt steel plates on it. It's really amazing that because Metrolinx doesn't know what it wants to do, we're unsure if the bridge that we had to put in because they wanted it is going to be able to support the trucks necessary to go to the construction site being run by Metrolinx. So I appreciate the difficulty that city staff have trying to meet the needs of the constituents in Deputy Mayor Malik's ward and get the work done. But honest to God, sometimes it feels like our job is running around with bottles of crazy glue, putting together all the plates that Metrolinx has shattered in the china shop that is the city of Toronto. So good luck to you all.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Councillor Fletcher?
Thank you. I'll just say a few things, and the deputant wondered why we didn't have North York Community Council business at Toronto and East York. It's because it's Toronto and East York business, and it's just these wards that we have reporting here, thanks to you, Deputy Mayor Malik, in bringing that motion when you were first elected. Councillor Perks, it looks like electrification is a little bit of a problem. I read that. Not sure what's going to happen on the GO lines. I just want to address the cleanliness issue. And I'll probably come back to that at council or beyond, but there are places that are not being watched. And I think, I don't know if it's too bold, if we can say to Metrolinx, that we need one person, and that's all they're going to do. That's their job. They're visiting, and they're saying, Pape and Danforth is filthy. It's covered in dust. The little clumps of soil everywhere. Pape and salmon in the wintertime was terrible. The contractor had left big pools of water. Somebody needs to be watching these sites, because it is, as we've said, and you've indicated by this report, it's an extremely intrusive project, particularly the part that's overground. But anything at a major station area, because we're building where stations currently exist, I think the white glove requirement needs to be heightened a little bit. I will just say the difference in some contractors. I'm just going to give a shout out to Dufferin Construction, because whenever they're spoken to, they always clean under the bridge. They really, really go the extra mile. Not all of the contractors who Metrolinx hires are the same, and they have an awful lot of them. If you look at this report, there's so many consortiums that you really hope that at some point the tracks line up and that the elevators go to the right place in the station, et cetera, because there are so many cooks in the kitchen here for this project. But I would ask that we kind of push a little bit harder on the cleanliness, particularly now with summer coming and many outdoor restaurants. There's your main streets, people are there, dust is everywhere, including on people's homes, so it's a problem. I'll just say for the trees, I think we've corrected that, but the number of trees, 200 trees, they could not build anything across the valley without 1,000 of our trees. And I just don't think that we're negotiate hard enough when we look at all the requirements for that big Don Valley Park, that there should be some value added with every single negotiation with Metrolinx if it's not a right-of-way. And I didn't see that happen, so everybody knows I'm very disappointed with that, extremely disappointed, but I think we've corrected it. You don't have in here anything about rats, and that's what I hear every time we have a meeting, is the number of rats that are being freed by the Ontario Line construction. There has been, residents have brought that up again and again, and Metrolinx has kind of said, well, we don't think there's too many rats, but we know there's a lot of rats. There's in anywhere where you're now disturbing old construction, Pape and Danforth, a lot of rats, salmon and Cosburn rats down at Degrassi. So I know it's not a sexy subject, but there is an issue that we are striving to get Metrolinx to take seriously. And the last one that I really want to focus on is the haul routes, because apparently all the haul routes are in, except for what I'm going to say is the most difficult haul route, which is out of the Riverdale Plaza, Carlaw and Gerard, where there is no way out except to Lakeshore or to go on Dundas. There's 100 trucks a day that are going to be coming out. I know we've traded how much spoils are coming out, the number of cubic tons of spoils. There's an awful lot, 300,000 probably a day. So maybe not a day, but over the project. It's just an immense issue, and I'll probably, now that this is going to council, have something more tailored to be more specific about what we need from those haul routes to make sure the community is safe. Everybody is terrified about these routes that are going to be set. They're past two schools, right on Carlaw, or on Dundas with Queen A School. And there's enough school trustees on the former school trustees on Toronto and East York Community Council to know how really upset everybody is to make sure that these very large trucks, which have already injured a woman on Pape, as we all know, with that haul route that wasn't being traversed properly, very, very worried about how that's going to work. So I think we'll be coming back to that in a lot more detail later. But thank you very much for the report, and I think your dashboard's a very interesting way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Matlow.
I want to say something to my wonderful colleagues who represent communities along the Ontario Line construction. Coming from somebody who lives and serves closer to Eglinton, you are doing what the Ontario government neglects to do. You are providing accountability and stewardship and guidance and oversight in a way that I wish the level of government that actually has purview over Metrolinx would give a damn to do. And all of your residents should be grateful for the work that you do, what they see, and often what they don't see you do every day. Doug Ford, a couple days ago, said, "Thank God." That's all I can say regarding the suggestion that the Eglinton line is going to open by September, and I commented that it will take divine intervention, given how Metrolinx and the provincial government has screwed this up over the past 14 to 15 years. Metrolinx has time and time again shown no accountability, no transparency, whether it be to councillors, whether it be to reporters, about even the basic things. There was even a time that Phil Verster held a press conference, it would be satirical if it wasn't so serious, where he made an announcement that he could not make an announcement. It's like a Monty Python sketch. We have no cheese in the cheese shop. The only information that we've been able to provide the media often comes in the forms of memos that have been leaked by whistleblowers to Councillor Cole and myself. It's absurd. It's not how you run a railroad, never mind build one. So I hope that my colleagues will echo our request that there be a public inquiry into what happened on Eglinton. Both looking backward, and not even backward yet, it's not open. But for accountability for everything from the messed up P3 contract that they signed, to not knowing how to align tracks, to not conceiving of the fact that there might be water underground, to so much more. But just as importantly, so that they learn from the mistakes of the past 15 years, so that they're never repeated along the Ontario line, that your communities don't have to go through what our communities have suffered, that your businesses along your streets don't either struggle or close so that they're not able to benefit from the transit that we should all be able to enjoy eventually. They are taking the burden for the greater good. They should be supported, not as collateral damage, but as part of the plan to begin with. So I just wanted to conclude by saying, I'm grateful for the work you're doing. I got your back, we're in this together, but there needs to be accountability demanded from Metrolinx and the provincial government, both for what they've done, but what they're about to do. And thank God for you, my colleagues, because you are there to provide, again, the oversight, the accountability that, sorry, Paula? Goddess, whoever you don't believe in. I'm just grateful that you're there because your communities need you and they have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to...
Not me to provoke a theological discussion.
Okay, we're running out of time. Just want to say quickly, thank you to Deputy Malik, Councilor Fletcher and others. From day one, we have come together to actually proactively help mitigate any issues around the Ontario line. And, it's because of our combined effort, I think, we are where we are today, in comparison to the Eglinton LRT. So I'm really hoping that Metrolinx will continue to listen to us. In some cases, they have. I've had many meetings with them. I'm sure that my colleagues have as well. And, we've also engaged our local businesses as well. My ward of Toronto Centre, we have 3 lines, Ontario line stops going through there as well. So my community's been very much engaged, and we've had our ears to the ground and helping them to adjust as we go along the way. So I hope that continues. And with that, we have 3 motions on the floor. First up is Councillor Bravo's motion. We'll move them all together. You can't do that. All those in favor of item number 1? Opposed? Carried. Councillor Malik's motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councillor Perks' item. All those in favor? Carried. Items amended?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, that's it. That's passed. Okay. 35. Yeah, Deputy Malik. T 23.35, Draper Street Streetscape Improvement and Parking Bylaw Amendment. Councillor Malik.
Thank you. I'd like to move my amendment.
Moving the amendment, put on screen. All those in favor, opposed, carried. T 23.37, Lippincott Street Parking Amendment. We do have a speaker on this item. Chris Haslett. Are you here, Chris Haslett? Is not online. Okay. Going once, going twice, going third time. Councillor Sachs?
I have a motion. We're moving the loading zone.
Put it up on the screen. All those in favor? Those carried.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is T 23.41, traffic control signals and traffic regulations, Sherburne Street, North and Elm Avenue, Maple Avenue. We do have a speaker on the side, 3 speakers. Are we deferring this item? Okay. Okay, so a motion to defer item to next meeting? Carried. T 23.44, Charles Street West between Queens Park and Bay Street traffic calming speed hump. We also have speakers on this item. James Hung, are you here? That's fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Hung, pardon.
I apologize for leaving. I have to be MC of World Environment. But we're doing speakers.
Okay, go ahead, sir. You have 5 minutes.
For the lead councilor, thank you for helping me bring this request forward, and your office, Councilor Sachs, and thank you for the Transportation Department for the study. I just wanted to bring some more context to the area. Obviously, it's university grounds north and south side of Charles Street. The grounds comprise from Queens Park over to St. Thomas Street here. And I know the study says there are some academic buildings, but I'm not sure if I can elaborate and give some more information that may help. Obviously, building number 1 here where my cursor is a 200 residents building for 200 all-female residents. Building 8 is another 200 residents for students. Building number 10 and number 4 here, again, both of them house 200 students as well from various parts of the country and the world. So we have quite 800 total students on residence, 4,000 students assigned to this property that are always crisscrossing Charles Street. There's dining halls, cafeterias, obviously lecture halls, and classrooms that are all multi-use and multi-function. So it's a fairly high traffic area as far as pedestrians. The museum subway entrance is still here. It's under construction. They moved it down temporarily to a little further south on Queens Park here, but it is to reopen. So there's TTC access as well. So there's quite a large community in the area that crisscrosses this area. The Colonnade condo buildings are just north of our property here, and it's also 15 stories, as well as a private elementary school from JK to grade 8. And those students also cross the street and use our fields and use our property as part of their recess and their outdoor education. So, in looking at this, bring up a photo here. Obviously, this is not the best time for me to demonstrate something. School just ended at the university, but it's obviously we are rejigging things, and the school becomes housing for camps all summer long. So about 700, 800 people from Colombia or Mexico or across Ontario descend, and they use our spaces as well. So school-age children from 5 to 15 are all in our 4 buildings, all residences. And they occupy all the office, the classroom and lecture halls as well, and they use those and our outdoor space. So there's quite a bit of pedestrian traffic that I don't think is being considered. This is a Google Maps view that shows vaguely some of the pedestrian traffic. Obviously, when school is in, it is it's much more busy. So obviously my request is obviously there has been no instances of data of any collisions or serious accidents, but also anecdotally speaking, what brought me to bring this request forward was the fact that many students, staff, professors have observed close calls, many instances of vehicles exceeding the speed limit past what the study, the 24-hour study that transportation conducted. And in keeping with the city's Vision Zero and reducing the impacts of persons killed or seriously injured, I think speed humps installed in this area would create a greater safety for the community at large, not just the students. And I'm requesting that you vote for the transportation's alternative.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hung. Any questions, Deputy? Seeing none. Councillor Perks?
Thank you. Councillor Sachs had to run to a prior commitment, and she's asked me to move the alternate recommendations, which I will do.
Okay.
Which are to install.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And I think we have one more item. T 23.49, traffic circulation changes, traffic calming, speed humps, and parking amendments, West Parkdale neighborhood. We do have a speaker on this item, or a few. Catherine Taylor, are you here? Okay, 5 minutes. Mr. Hung and Councilor Fletcher, do you mind just stepping aside? Okay. 5 minutes, go ahead.
Mayor Chow and City Councilors, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today about the next disastrous proposal by the West Park Cycling Connections. Let me introduce myself. I'm Catherine Taylor. I'm a disabled senior who is still working in the film business, and I need my car not to be parked blocks away, which it always is now that we've lost our street parking. And I need my car to travel to work as I have equipment and can work anywhere in Southern Ontario any day or night, like a lot of people. Let me show you how the results of this first incarnation from West Park Cycling Committee has seriously affected the safety and enjoyment of living for the majority of residents in this wonderful community. I live on Sunnyside, just north of St. Joseph's Hospital, where you've changed just that short part of Sunnyside into one-way south, putting the widest bike lanes in the city, and by the way, I've gone around measuring bike lane widths lately, a full car width on either side of the street, making it illegal for us to stop in front of our houses. We have no laneways. 5 homes now have no way to deliver, have a delivery, renovate our homes, get a roofer, drop off our children, pick up our mothers in the rain. If we do, we face a $400 fine. There is no lane behind our homes and no parking pads thanks to your moratorium on parking pads. We rarely see a cyclist, and shortly I will show you just some of the photos of no one in the bike lanes ever. But we have no street parking 24/7, 365 days a year. Perhaps you're using the philosophy of if you build it, they will come. That's a movie about baseball. Does this all seem reasonable to you? Turns out it does not seem reasonable to the majority of the people I surveyed last Saturday morning, far too early along Pearson Avenue and along Sunnyside in that affected area. Of the 20% of the residents who actually answered their door, only one person indicated support for the changes and was bike-only transport person. 2 families indicated they were thinking of moving because of the increased morning rush hour traffic along Pearson, making it unsafe for their children. 18 signatures in an hour before my knees gave out. On that short part of Sunnyside, 2 families with small children have sold, and there's only 10 houses, have sold since your changes. You've negatively affected our day-to-day lives and make the neighborhood less safe for our children. But this is not the real problem. The real problem here is a lack of democratic process and a paternalistic attitude towards your citizens. In these public consultations, you already have the plans made up, saying there will be plenty of public consultation, then the plans will be adjusted. You go ahead with the original plans, changing nothing and ignoring all the residential objections. Then you say you'll adjust the changes after the studies, but again, even with the residents' objections, you publish them, but you changed nothing. This is not a democratic process. This is an agenda pushed on a city council by a small number of cyclists, most of whom do not live in our area. Who designed this West Park plan? Give us a name and get them to meet with us before making any more plans. We insist on a complete moratorium of any further changes to our area until you actually meet with the community and listen to us. You are once again putting our children at risk, locking us out of being able to drive in our own community, especially now with the proposed changes to Pearson at Ronsonsville becoming a right turn only. You misinformed us. Neither Garden Avenue nor Fern Public Schools support your changes. No one who delivers programs or drives to work daily at St. Joe's approves. I know, I talked to them. I had surgery there. Yet you told us you had their support. We will soon not be able to access our local park, High Park, to take our kids to baseball, soccer, swimming, because it's too far to walk. There's absolutely no parking now anywhere in the hood around the park. And now you're going to charge us $30 a family to use this train. We are not your cash cows.
Final thoughts?
Soren Park will be dangerous. And Gord Perks, we demand not only a moratorium, but a return to how our streets were originally.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicants? Seeing none, thank you. Philip Barker online.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, 5 minutes, go ahead.
Hi, am I on picture? Okay. So I'm just, I have, in 5 minutes, I wanted to show a 1 minute video, so I'm not sure how to do that, but hopefully somebody will help me.
Go ahead, you were giving you rights to share, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So basically, I live at the corner of McDonnell and Rideau Avenues, and I'm concerned for a couple of years now about a cross cut through that goes past our houses at the intersection of Wright Avenue and McDonnell, and McDonnell and Rideau. This is a main thoroughfare for cross-cutting traffic that goes from Roncesvalles to Lansdowne, Parkside Drive to Lansdowne. It's and what happens in rush hour, there's a continuous traffic jam, dangerous to cyclists, dangerous to pedestrians. The video that I will show will exemplify that. So last year in May, I conducted a survey of 21 people, 30 people in 21 houses that live on these corners. And we demanded something to be done about the traffic, controlling the traffic on these corners. And, it was sent around to the various departments. And I got one response from Savanahami Vijenthra, who basically said that the team took the concerns you raised very seriously and are currently exploring opportunities to coordinate potential traffic safety upgrades with the upcoming road surfacing. So we were expecting something to happen. We have many solutions, suggestions about how we can calm the traffic or divert the traffic from these dangerous corners. But it's basically what we get is this proposal to turn Macdonell between Byrne and Rideau into a one-way street going north. Now, what that will do is funnel yet another stream of traffic into these corners. I'm talking about traffic that's cutting through from Roncesvalles to Lansdowne. They can now go along Garden Avenue and then up Macdonell to Rideau. So basically, we've been asking for them to calm the traffic in these two intersections, and they're proposing to increase the traffic. And we're very upset about this. So Tracy will be following me, and she has a petition that's been signed by 117 people that live on these street corners. And I hope something can be done about it. As I said before, we have ideas about how to calm the traffic, and please consult us. You're welcome to come to my living room anytime during rush hour and see the dangers. And further, before I show the video, the last thing I wanted to say is that there's not even a crosswalk that goes east-west across Macdonell for pedestrians to walk across the street. On the whole street, there's not one like zebra crossing crosswalk. It takes a bucket of paint, you know? So here's the video. I guess I'm gonna try and, oh, I see share. Okay, share my screen. Google Chrome is preventing me from opening. Okay, I'll try it again. Share content. I'm sorry, Google Chrome is preventing me from showing this video. So I'm not quite sure what to do. I could maybe come back and work it out, but the video I have, it's a 1-minute video that shows a constant stream of traffic going through these two intersections with pedestrians trying to cross, cars not stopping, fist fights. It's an incredible, dangerous situation on these two intersections, and I'm hoping we can do something about it. You know, we support bicyclists. I'm a bicyclist, but this is really dangerous, and I would like to be. We would like to be consulted. Me and the 30 people that I have on my petition that live on these corners.
Okay, thank you. You've submitted your petition, I'm assuming? Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions for the Deputy? Okay, seeing none. Up next is Tracy Harity. Online. Can you hear me, Tracy?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, 5 minutes, go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name's Tracy, and I'm representing 117 of my neighbors and fellow petition signers. And I'm also talking about the same stretch that Philip was just talking about on Macdonell. And what we really want from you today is to either reject or postpone the traffic flow changes on Macdonell until we can better understand why they were recommended. The proposal that was submitted to you by the senior manager overlooks some crucial facts about traffic volumes that are well within city thresholds, strong community opposition, and really the negative impact of routing cars into our community's town square. So I'm going to go over each of these points really quickly due to time, but let's talk about traffic volumes first. The senior PM says October 2024 data shows 1,350 vehicles on a block of Fern between Sororan Avenue and Macdonell, which is driving this direction change. And yes, it is a year-over-year increase since the cycling infrastructure was put in, but it is still only 54% of the city's 2,500 a day vehicle limit for local roads. Peak traffic, also within acceptable thresholds. And I want to note, and perhaps for you, Gord, specifically, that when we looked at the traffic data, we saw no increase whatsoever year over year since the cycling changes were implemented on the block of Fern School. So any argument that cites that the safety of the school is driving these changes is actually just not founded on any data at all. Rather than calming traffic, this change actually goes against what I believe is some of the city's priorities of cutting down cut-through routes through residential neighborhoods. And we believe that this is actually just shifting an issue and not solving it at all. It's worth noting that adjacent streets around this Fern block have just as much, if not more, average daily traffic now without any of these changes. So now let's shift to public feedback. The PM claims in the recommendation that her recommendation reflects public feedback. But you know what's funny? When you read the West Parkdale Cycling Connections consultation report from last month, it tells a very different story. It actually clearly states in multiple places that the majority of residents are opposed to the changes that are in front of you today. So let me give you a couple of quotes from the report. First quote, overall, most residents and interest groups who provided feedback are not supportive of any of the potential changes that were presented, and a large proportion reiterated their opposition to the project as a whole. Some expressed support for the potential traffic volume reductions that some of the changes could bring to Fern Avenue, while the majority expressed concerns. Second quote, overall, of the comments received regarding the 6 proposed options for additional changes, most residents were opposed to any changes. There is a clear disconnect here between the consultation findings and the current recommendation in front of you. Now let's talk about Wabash's suitability, because the same PM describes Wabash as a wide two-way street, 16 meters wide. But what it doesn't say is that the route to get to that street from Rideau is only 6.5 meters wide, has two-way traffic and a parking lane, and 1,400 cars already travel this stretch daily. And the plan here is to recommend diverting more traffic onto it. Finally, where in this proposal is the impact on the rest of the community and the adjacent streets? We get it that Fern between Macdonell and Sororan has seen an increase in traffic. It's well below the city's guidelines, but fair enough. But it really ignores the rest of us. It introduces a new bypass route for non-local traffic north on Macdonell and out to Lansdowne, like Philip was saying. There's absolutely no data on projected increases to nearby street. And really, it funnels cars onto Wabash. And Gord, you know this. This is a community hub with 2 parks, a farmer's market, a dog run, daily sports activities, an ice rink, a field house, and the future site of our local rec center. This isn't just another street. It's at the heart of our neighborhood. So in summary, this recommendation focuses on one block whose volume is way below guidelines while ignoring the rest of us. It misrepresents public support. Yep, it misrepresents public support and redirects onto active family-oriented spaces and seems to take into account the few over the many.
Thank you. Any questions for Deputy? Seeing none. And in future, please refer any comments through the chair. Councillor Perks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be moving the staff recommendations. So just so members have a little bit of grounding here, some time ago, we directed city staff to go and start filling in holes in our cycling network. And there's a very particular hole. Cyclists traveling into the downtown from the west or out of the downtown to the west didn't have a connection to get to Lakeshore. So we looked at a way to plug that make that connection through West Parkdale. And quite a number of public meetings, consultations, and so on, design drawings, meetings with schools, discussions with St. Joseph's Hospital, and so on, yielded a plan which this council adopted. We also directed staff to monitor what the consequences of building those connections were and to report back with any proposed changes. Prior to the proposed changes, we did go and consult with the community again. It will always be contentious reallocating scarce resources, and our road spaces in the city of Toronto are scarce resources. We, are trying to make safer pedestrian spaces and create safer modes of transportation like cycling on a fixed road network. And it will always create conflict because people will have to change their travel patterns. In the report in front of you, one particular issue is being dealt with, which has been an increase of traffic cutting through the neighborhood on a particular route. So this seeks to make an adjustment. It's actually a very short stretch of Macdonell, and to install some speed humps. It's part of our ongoing Vision Zero work, part of our ongoing Green Streets work, and part of our work to make neighborhoods safer for everybody to travel through. So I hope you'll support the staff's recommendations.
All those in favor, excuse me, ma'am. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, and the bills. That bills 502 to 525 and bills 527 to 537 prepared for the June 5th, 2025 meeting 23 of the Toronto and East York Community Council be declared by laws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Toronto and East York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 23 on June 5th, 2025 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, members. Thank you, staff. And have a good afternoon.